All right, so we do have Chris here. Chris, you got to see a certain film last night.
Yeah.
We're going to try to not get into spoilers. But yes, Chris, we do want to know your opinion on this thing and if the leaks were real.
The leaks are real. I won't actually say out loud what the spoilers are, but if you've read them, they are accurate and worse than you think. And the thing that ruins the movie, it's interesting because the first 20 minutes, there's this deep fake. It's actually almost the best we've ever seen it. I thought Rogue One looked terrible. Grand Moff Tarkin did not look good. It just was like, it wasn't there yet. It's actually the best I've seen it. It's not perfect, but it's the best we've seen so far. And the first 20 minutes is this, it's almost like a copy of an Indiana Jones movie. The way the action is paced, it's a mix of humor and action. The first 20 minutes, which is an action scene where the Nazis are loading up a train with antiquities, and Indy has this friend named Basil who's going after antiquities like him. And you're thinking, oh my God, like just make a whole movie of this. Once it cuts to the present day, you've got a feeble Harrison Ford. I mean, they show him with his shirt off. I don't know why they did that. He's got the divorce papers. It's sad. He goes to his class. It's his last day. And a young student in the very back knows everything. She knows everything. She knows this. She knows the language. And guess who that is?
It's Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
She ruins the entire movie. And in many cases, she is the co-star. It's not a sidekick. She's a co-star to Harrison Ford. And in some cases, taking the lead where they go off and tell aspects of her story. You get her background when she was a kid. It ends with her going off to have another adventure. Whereas like Harrison's sort of like, I'm retired. And it's like, she goes off on an adventure. She has this sidekick named Teddy. There are scenes that should have been scenes and lines that were Indiana Jones lines that they just gave to her. There's this moment where they're in like Morocco. Her and Indy they're looking, the whole movie is they're just looking for the dial, right? It's the kind of a repeat in some ways of the first movie. They're trying to get the Ark of the Covenant. They're trying to get the dial of destiny. They can travel back in time and they can fix things, right? So they're in Morocco. A car pulls up and it's a guy in his pajamas with a machete. Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character, Helena, is like, oh, hey, Raheem, I don't know about last night. I'm sorry. And she's like sort of doing that, like just trying to negotiate with him. And he wants to kill her because she used him. In fact, it's repeated throughout the movie. She's boy crazy and a whore. She's just sleeping with tons of dudes. And you're like, is this what I really want? There's
it's basically what you would expect, right? From an Indiana Jones movie was he goes and finds an old flame who he ran out on, who she's mad, but she still kind of likes him. So she'll reluctantly help him out, maybe throw a glass at him or something, but he kind of smooths things over. That's now her. Right.
That's her. And it was weird. I'm like, they're just giving her lines he would have had. She's just not likable.
How bad is this movie? Like, just objectively speaking, like how bad is this movie?
For me, a 4 out of 10. I mean, if I had to like give it a number, because there are moments like that first 20 minutes of the movie is like, just make that the whole movie. We can maybe like turn a blind eye. It's not the not 100% perfect deep fake stuff. Her character just ruins it. It's everything about modern feminism that you hate in one character that you really just sort of despise. They give her attributes of Indiana Jones, and he's this feeble sidekick. There's even a scene where they're scaling the side of in a cave. They're scaling, trying to go up a part of this cave, and he's like, my knees, my shoulders, you get this old. And it's just like, how about just don't even have that in the movie? It's also 2.5 hours. It doesn't need to be 2.5 hours, typical of every movie these days that's over 2 hours. Doesn't need to be, not justified. All these movies should be 2 hours. It's all your worst thoughts about what it could be. It actually is all those things. Near the end of the film, I just felt sad. I'm like, all of our stuff is just gone and destroyed. They're not going to make another one of these. This is yet another thing that Lucasfilm has botched. I'll add a little bit more details. So the dial is not a time machine. What it is a portal to go back to Archimedes battling the Romans. He was looking for help from the future. 2 planes emerge. One is with Jürgen Voller, which is Mads Mikkelsen's character, filled with Nazis, and an injured Indiana Jones. He gets shot in the chest, which is weird. Like, so for the last third of the movie, he's shot in the chest.
What the fuck?
And I'm like, okay.
An 80-year-old man, no problem.
Shot in the chest. And of course, Helena goes to save him. That doesn't go well. They parachute from the plane. They perceive, the Romans are like, get that dragon. It's a dragon, right? Like, they don't know what it is. So they land, they meet Archimedes, and Indy's like, I just want to die here. I just want to die. I'm good. Like,
there's nothing left for me, and there's nothing left for me back there. I can't go back, blah, 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 right?
Yeah. And what happens? Helena punches him in the face, cut to black. He wakes up in his his bed in his apartment in New York City, and he's all bandaged up. It's so weird because it kind of felt like the ending of Wizard of Oz with Dorothy just waking up, right? Everything's okay. For some reason, Marion appears with groceries, and all the characters are there. Helena's there, everyone. They have like this reconciliation, which is one thing I have to actually give them a couple things of credit for, is they showed restraint. There are not a lot of member berries in this movie, just callbacks to other Indiana Jones stuff. There's a few, but they showed there weren't that many, which I was like, oh wow, I was expecting a lot more. And they kind of do a repeat of that scene on the ship with Karen Allen's character, and he's all injured, and it's like, where does it hurt? Where does it not hurt? And he says, here. They kind of replay that scene, and it's actually one of the best scenes of the movie. They have like this romantic moment, and they kind of reconcile, but it's not explained like why suddenly she had a change of heart. None of that's explained. And then
Waller-Bridge did it.
Yeah, exactly. And then you see Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and she's off on another adventure with Teddy, and she just sort of takes off through the streets of New York City. And Indy, they sort of close up Iris in on Indy's hat, and he grabs his hat. Indy will
kind of like, I'm not done. Maybe after all, who knows?
God. But it's just so unsatisfying, and I don't think they understood how unlikable she is. She's just entitled, annoying. In a way, she's sort of like Han Solo in the first Star Wars. They tried to make her that, like, I only care about the money, and then she's just banging and using dudes left and right. There's like this thing where she's like, hey, my day's getting better, and she sees like all these like foreign guys, like, I'm gonna bang them all. It's just weird. Like,
nice, man.
It doesn't make her likable. Right? It does not make
no,
her.
It makes
like
her
trying
a
to
whore.
convince. It's again. I said it before about this movie. It's specifically about Phoebe Waller-Bridge. They're trying to go full Heath Ledger Joker with fucking Maggie Gyllenhaal. You are beautiful. Like they're trying to convince the audience that she's attractive, and the way they do that is by telling you that she's sleeping with a bunch of dudes.
She's the weakest part of the movie, and then and also it's the writing, the way they made Indiana Jones kind of feeble and reluctant to go on this adventure, and then he's going to break a hip. But like I say, that first 20 minutes of the movie, I could just watch this for the rest of the movie, and I'll forgive that it's not 100% perfect, but it's the best I've seen in a film.
That's why it cost $300 million fucking dollars.
Jesus, is this one of the? This is one of the most expensive films on record, correct?
Even with just their disclosed, yes, it's like $300 million that they've disclosed. People estimate it's higher than that.
James Mangold, I don't blame for this. I would probably blame Kathleen Kennedy. It almost seemed like the way the Helena character was written is just like, will Kathleen like this? It just felt that way. Like, will she
James
like
Mangold's a great director. He really is. It all goes back to everything I always talk about with Lucasfilm. It's all about leadership, lack of leadership. Kathleen Kennedy is a awful leader. She's a terrible leader, and she has talented people that are working underneath her. But even she, with her terrible leadership, she can't maximize their talents. In fact, she's detrimental to their talents.